morning, all the class 12 students. Today we are starting our new unit, that is second unit. The name is genetics. When we talk about this genetics means what? Study of genes. Genes are present in what? Genes are present in DNA, and the other genetic structure which are present in our body are chromosomes. Okay. Here the DNA full form is deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay, so study of genes, genetic material, DNA, chromosomes, all are under genetics. Okay, now who's the father of genetics? The first person who started studying genetics was Gregor Johann Mendel. Class में पढ़ा हुआ कौन है? Gregor Johann Mendel was the first person who studied about genetics. Now this is the unit name. Now chapter number 5 is principles of inheritance and variation. So there are two terms here. One is inheritance and one is variation. Inheritance means what? यहाँ लिखा है parents. और parents say what is this? This is offspring. So from parents to offspring there is what? There is flow of genetic information. When there is flow of genetic information takes place from one generation to the next generation. This process is considered as what? Inheritance. So define inheritance. How will you define inheritance? See, the flow of genetic information from parents to the offspring, from one generation to the next generation, that is called as inheritance. Right? Now, during this flow of genetic information, these flow of genes or DNA or chromosomes. See, when we talk about this chromosome, आपको पता नहीं है chromosome, father के chromosomes XY, mother chromosome XX. Here, if gamete formation takes place, the gamete is in the form of sperm. The sperm containing either X or Y chromosome, while ovum is a gamete in female. Ovum gamete contains both X chromosome, right? So if the sperm carrying Y chromosome and ovum carrying X chromosome, there is a formation of XY, which is a son. Similarly, if I am saying the ovum containing X chromosome and the sperm also containing X chromosome, then it is XX, which is considered as what? Daughter. So these chromosomes transmitted flow from parents to the new offspring. Is that clear? So this is considered as what? This is considered as inheritance. Clear? Now, after inheritance, there is another term which is considered as what? Which is considered as variation. Now, what is the meaning of this variation? Variation means changes. अब ऐसा तो नहीं होता ना कि पेरेंट्स से बच्चा बिल्कुल सेम टू सेम, तो asexual kind of reproduction हम बोल देते हैं, there is a clone and there is a similar kind of offspring produced. But in case of what? In case of sexually reproducing organism, there are some changes. अब हम आए हमारे में मैं बिल्कुल अपने पेरेंट्स अपने पापा की तरह थोड़ी ना, क्या है? There are some variation, there are some changes takes place. So there are some changes occurs what? During inheritance. These changes that occurs during inheritance, that is considered as what? That is considered as variation. अब variation में कुछ क्या होते हैं? कुछ advantages होते हैं. There are some advantages of variation. अगर variation होगी तो disease resistant होगा offspring. Offspring is disease resistant. अगर variation होगी तो offspring is active. What is the meaning of this active? Active means he can cope up the environmental condition faster. Okay, so cope up the environmental conditions. Okay, so this is the advantages of what? This is the advantages of variation. अच्छा, human ने ना animals को बहुत ज़्यादा exploit कर दिया, right? हम लोग किसी भी animal के अंदर से genes, chromosome, DNA को isolate करके new product बनाकर और अलग genes उसके अंदर डालकर कुछ exploitation. One such example of variation is Sahiwal cows in Punjab. Cows in Punjab. So these are the cows which were produced using what? Variated genes. Okay, and one such example of variation is Sahiwal cows in Punjab. Punjab. You must know this example. Okay. The next portion is, as we covered genetics father. So who's the father of genetics? हमें already पता है, right? And the name is Gregor Johann Mendel. Simply we will say G.J. Mendel. Now Mendel ने किया क्या? Mendel used pea plant for his experiment. आपने 10th क्लास में भी थोड़ा बहुत तो इसके बारे में पढ़ा होगा इन जेनेटिक्स एंड एवोल्यूशन से. सो मेंडल ने एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन किया, जेनेटिक एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन ऑन अ pea plant. When he performed a genetic experimentation on pea plants, so pea plant, first of all we must know the scientific name of pea plant. The name is Physalis sativa. Now the question is, why he choose pea plant for his experiment? So why he chose pea plant for his experiment? So this is the question, right? He chose pea plant for his experiment because of the following reasons. So there are some following reasons. Because pea plant has short life cycle. Next, pea plant में self pollination हो सकता है और क्रॉस pollination हो सकता है. So pea plants are basically हम बोलते हैं self pollinated plants. But cross pollination can also take place. Cross pollination can also occurs. Now pea plant में एक ही जनरेशन में बहुत सारे फ्लावर्स आ जाते हैं, बहुत सारे सीड्स आ जाते हैं. So many offsprings in a single generation. Okay. And when we talk about Mendel, जब हम Mendel की बात करते हैं तो Mendel ने 7 contrasting characters check करे. He take 7 contrasting characters in a pea plant for experiment. Those 7 contrasting characters having 14 detectable traits. अब यहाँ पर एक term add there, how many detectable traits? 14 detectable traits. Out of this, now यहाँ से term निकलता है, the term is genes. Simply, what is genes? Genes are unit of inheritance. But Mendel ने genes name नहीं दिया था. Mendel ने genes को factors बोला. So Mendel given the name factors, not genes. Factors later called genes. तो Mendel ने actual definition क्या दिया? So factors were the discrete units which stably passed down. कहां से कहां? From one generation to next generation. So according to what? According to Mendel, factors were the discrete units which stably passed down from one generation, from parents to the new offspring, from one generation to the next generation. That term were called as factors, and factors later called genes. Clear? अब जो substance होता है जिसमें factors present होंगे उसे हम क्या बोलेंगे? Allele. तो what are alleles? What is allele? Simply अगर बोले तो alleles. Allele is a substance which contains factors, or we can say what? Which contains genes. That's called as allele. Okay. Now there is a term which is called trait. Okay. The trait term is pair of allele. Now if I am giving you example, okay. See, there is a pea plant. I am giving an example of stem height. Okay. So stem height, either two things. One is tall or other is dwarf. If the stem height is tall, the allele is capital T, and if the stem height is dwarf, the allele is small t. The pair of allele could be So these are the pairs, right? Now, if the single T, and this single small t shows allele, what does it shows? It shows allele. So allele के example अगर लिखें तो आप single लिखेंगे, capital T, small t. If we talk about a human being example, alleles are X or Y, right? These are alleles. But when they are in pair, then it is called as what? Then it is called as trait. तब इसे हम क्या बोलेंगे? Trait बोलेंगे. तो अगर pair में है तो क्या बोलोगे? What is the definition? What is the term given? Trait. And if there is single, then what is the term given? Allele. And allele के अंदर क्या present है? Allele के अंदर present है factors. और factors को और क्या बोला जाता है? Genes बोला जाता है. So Mendel had given these terms named factors. Later called genes. Factors किसके अंदर present है? Allele. Allele के पेयर को हम क्या बोलेंगे? Allele के पेयर को हम trait. Okay? अब Mendel ने कितनी contrasting character use करी थी? How many contrasting character chosen by Mendel? इसका screenshot ले लेना, okay? और फिर करना आगे. Now, Mendel chose 7 contrasting characters, and these 7 contrasting characters are number 1 contrasting character is stem height. तो मैं क्या बना रहा हूँ? एक छोटा सा फ्लो चार्ट बना रहा हूँ. फ्लो चार्ट के जरिए आपको बहुत इजी लगेगा कंटेंट, okay? So here I am making on what flow chart. आप लोग स्क्रीनशॉट ले लेना एंड फिर करना यहाँ लिखा हमने कंट्रास्टिंग कैरेक्टर्स एंड चलो बताता हूँ. Mendel chose how many contrasting character? Mendel chose 7 contrasting characters. And these 7 contrasting characters, first contrasting character is stem height. अच्छा, stem height में हमने 2 conditions पढ़ी, एक tall और एक wide. अब आप बताओ डोमिनेंट कंडीशन कौन सी होगी और रिसेसिव जो कैपिटल बड़ा होगा उसको हम क्या बोलेंगे? कौन सी कंडीशन? दैट इज डोमिनेंट कंडीशन. while जो छोटा होगा उसे हम कौन सा कंडीशन बोलेंगे? रिसेसिव कंडीशन. सो देयर आर 2 कैरेक्टर्स और 2 कंट्रास्टिंग कैरेक्टर्स. आई मीन टू से वन स्टेम हाइट के 2 कैरेक्टर हो जाते हैं, एक डोमिनेंट एंड द अदर वन इज रिसेसिव. If the contrasting character is stem height, then the dominant character is tall, while recessive character is dwarf. Therefore, capital T here, small t, capital T, trait for tall. Small t is a trait for dwarf. Okay. The next contrasting character I am taking flower color. Flower color, violet, W and white. अब एक चीज ध्यान रखने वाली है कि हम अपनी मर्जी से कुछ नहीं ले सकते हैं. ये सब कंट्रास्टिंग कैरेक्टर्स मेंडल ने चूज किया था, तो हम मेंडल के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं. ओके, सो कंट्रास्टिंग कैरेक्टर्स आपको यही लेने हैं सभी जो मेंडल ने लिए, क्योंकि मेंडल ने स्टडी किया था पीक क्राउन के बारे में. हमने नहीं स्टडी किया, हम तो उसके एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन कर रहे हैं. ओके, सो कैरेक्टर सेकंड कैरेक्टर फ्लावर कलर violet and white. What is the dominant contrasting character of flower color? The dominant contrasting character of flower color is violet. Recessive कौन सा? White. Similarly, next flower. So position of flower 2, one is axial, capital trait, and the other one is terminal. Terminal के लिए हम क्या लेते हैं? Small. Okay. So this is the dominant character, capital, that is axial, while recessive character is terminal. Similarly, the next characteristic is seed color. So seed color taking one is yellow for dominant, capital Y capital, and one is green for recessive, that is small y small. Next is seed shape. So seed shape taking round for capital R, and the other thing is wrinkle is small r. समझ रहे हो ना? Dominant character, recessive character. Okay. Similarly, 6th and 7th characteristic. So this is poured color. So poured color we are taking poured color. Poured होता क्या है? मटर जानते हो? मटर का कवर, ये जो कवर होगा अंदर मटर. So हम किसकी बात कर रहे हैं? हम तो उस कवर की बात कर रहे हैं. Okay. So poured color is green. Either green for capital G, either yellow के लिए हम क्या लिखेंगे? स्मॉल जी. सी जो हमें कंट्रास्टिंग कैरेक्टर लेना है वो सिमिलर वाला लेना है. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए यहाँ पे आप ग्रीन कैपिटल जी लिख दो और यहाँ पे येलो के लिए वाई लिख दो. नो, डोमिनेंट और रिसेसिव कैरेक्टर को रखना पड़ेगा हम लोगों को. ओके. द नेक्स्ट इज कोड शेप. कोड कलर तो हो गया पेड़ से आप देखते हो कुछ मटर तो बड़े हरे भरे खिले खुले होते हैं ना, और कुछ कंस्ट्रिक्टेड होते हैं जिनमें कुछ कीड़े भी निकल आते हैं कई बार, है ना. सो दिस इज पोड शेप. पोड शेप इज टू कंडीशन. वन इज inflated like this, complete बराबर, ओके, एंड वन इज constricted ऐसा दिखेगा, राइट. सो दिस इज inflated. inflated के लिए हम क्या लेंगे, कैपिटल है, constricted के लिए स्मॉल है. Okay, so these are 7 contrasting characters, and हर contrasting character की कितने traits हैं, 2 traits हैं. So there are 2 traits of each contrasting character. One trait is dominant trait and another trait is recessive trait. अब हमने मेंडल का जब पढ़ा था, P plant for experiments में पढ़ा था 7 contrasting character having how many detectable traits, having 14 detectable traits. So one contrasting character having 2 traits, therefore 7 contrasting characters having total of 14 detectable traits are there. So you must know how many contrasting characters, 7, and how many detectable traits. There are 14 detectable traits. And if I am giving you a question like this, give the traits of flat position, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए the traits of flat position are axial and terminal. Capital, small. You can write. Okay, so this is what one of the major thing जो आपने अभी पढ़ा है, और इसी कंट्रास्टिंग कैरेक्टर के बेस पे हाफ ऑफ द चैप्टर है. तो आपको सबसे पहले तो ये कंट्रास्टिंग कैरेक्टर सभी अच्छे से पता होने चाहिए, उसके बाद ही हम आगे की तरफ बढ़ सकते हैं. ओके, सो यू मस्ट नो ईच कंट्रास्टिंग कैरेक्टर विद द ट्रेट्स. ओके, नाउ देयर आर 2-3 differences which we are covering today, and differences are: number 1, phenotype. Phenotype differentiate with genotype. So the question is simple: what is the difference between phenotype and genotype? Phenotype, physically, how the shape, what is the shape of the pod, so that is physical. हम कैसे दिख रहे हैं, physical duster कैसा है, marker कैसा है, bottle कैसा है, pen कैसा है. So physically अगर हम देख रहे हैं तो उसमें क्या बोलेंगे, phenotype. So physical appearance of any organism, that is what phenotype. And we talk about genetic appearance. Which appearance? Genetic appearance, or we can say genetic characters, that is called as genotype. अगर हम अपना बोले, suppose मेरा बोल रहे हैं, तो physical appearance मेरा क्या है, male, while genotype क्या है, XY. ऐसे अगर मैंने पूछ लिया सीड कलर का बताओ जी, सीड कलर का आपको फिनोटाइप बताना है, तो सीड कलर का फिनोटाइप क्या होगा, येलो. सीड कलर का एक और फिनोटाइप अगर लिखते हैं तो ग्रीन. जीनोटाइप क्या है, जीनोटाइप याद होगा, कैपिटल है, ग्रीन के लिए स्मॉल है, स्मॉल. समझ गए आप लोगों को? सो आप लोगों को क्या बताना है, जीनोटाइप एंड फिनोटाइप. सो इफ आई एम आस्किंग यू क्वेश्चन लाइक phenotype of seed shape, the phenotype of seed shape are round or wrinkled. Genotype of seed shape, capital R, small r, small r. Clear मेरी बात? So this is phenotype, complete wordings, and this is genotype, which is a genetic character of any organism. So this is the difference between phenotype and genotype. Next, I am taking the other difference, that is homozygous trait and heterozygous trait. Heterozygous trait. So there are how many kinds of traits? 2 traits. One is homozygous, one is hetero. नाम से clear है? Homo मतलब similar trait. When both the traits are and both the alleles in a trait are similar. See, capital R, capital Y, capital T. दोनों एलील हमने पढ़ा था ना, एक होगा तो क्या बोलते हैं, एलील बोलते हैं, और पेयर में होगा तो क्या बोलते हैं, ट्रेट बोलते हैं. हम तो ट्रेट पढ़ रहे हैं, तो ट्रेट दोनों एलील सेम. So we will write like this: homozygous trait, the trait in which both the alleles are similar. So in a trait when both the alleles are similar, then it is called as homozygous trait. And heterozygous, it means capital T, small t, capital R, small r. It means alleles are what? It means alleles are different in a trait. When alleles are different in a trait, then it is called as what? Heterozygous trait. Example, capital T, small t, capital R, small r. आया समझ? So ये है आपका फर्स्ट लेक्चर जो मैंने अभी आप लोगों को पढ़ाया वो आपको अच्छे से क्लियर हुआ होगा। अपना ख्याल रखें, अपने पेरेंट्स का भी ख्याल रखें, ओके। एंड हॉलीडेज को एंजॉय करें और पढ़ लेना थोड़ा बहुत, ओके। थैंक यू सो मच।